Parents of Reddit, what is the dumbest thing you've ever heard from your child? This shirt doesn't have any armholes, you have a pillowcase on your head. When I was about 13, I stayed up all night with some friends. This was the first time I'd ever stayed up all night. The next day, I was supposed to be going to a lunch with my family. I passed out when I got home in the morning and had about an hour to sleep before I had to get ready to go. My mom wakes me up and tells me I have to take a shower. I get clean, dry off, then grab my shirt off the bathroom counter. I'm completely unable to get the shirt on. I just cannot figure out how to shirt. So I blearily stumble into my mom's room, wrapped in a towel, holding my shirt up to her, saying, "Mom, how does this work?" Turns out, it was not a shirt, it was just another towel. I had been trying to find the head and armholes in this towel for who knows how long. And the weird thing is, I don't know why I thought my mom just left my shirt in the bathroom for me. That was never how I got dressed. I asked my kid if he had to pee before bed. After I said that, he stuck his hand in his pants, felt his nuts and said, "No, they aren't hard." My brother's son has a unique way of talking sometimes. My brother told him to hurry up, and he said without blinking, "I can't want to," like he is physically unable to desire to comply with his request. I don't know if stupid or genius. My nephew, 4 or 5 years old at the time, asked, "Why does the dog never talk to me? Does he hate me?" My 5-year-old stepson needed to use the restroom while we were having a family dinner with his grandparents in a restaurant. So my ex takes his son to the potty, and they are in the same stall. Little man pees first, then my ex. Little man looks at his dad's penis and starts excitedly squealing, "Dad, your penis is huge. It's giant. You have a huge penis." Little man then proceeds to screech this out at the top of his lungs all the way back to the table, sits next to his grandma and say, "Grammy, did you know my dad has a huge penis?" The entire restaurant was laughing. I didn't poop in my pants, the dog did. I raised my cousins. Boys, 4 and 5, climb into a box together and throw themselves down the stairs. After much crying and popsicles, I asked what they were trying to do. "We were trying to hurt ourselves to get popsicles." I wish I was making this up. My son in kindergarten. "Teacher, you need to be more gentle with your friends." My son throws himself on the floor. "Please don't eat me. Please don't eat me." He doesn't do this sort of thing at home. But the full school day has been a big transition. The teacher called me to ask why he might think that. I have no idea. Teacher, not a parent, but the other day I overheard this conversation between 2 of my 3rd graders. Girl, don't you believe Jesus Christ died on the cross to save us from the British king? Boy, that wasn't him. That was Abraham Lincoln. Girl, oh. I probably should have corrected them, but the idea that they will go through life believing Abraham Lincoln was crucified on the cross to save us from the British king was too amusing to me. A friend of mine has 6 kids. They are all girls, except the youngest is a boy. A few days ago this happened. "Mom, Josh pooped in the backyard." "Josh, why did you poop in the backyard? The dog does it. Why can't I?" When I was 2, my mum was pregnant and asked what I wanted my sibling to be. Nobody had explained siblings come in only 2 flavors, brothers or sisters. So I said I wanted a baby tiger. Ended up with a sister, and I have resented her for the last 22 years for not being a tiger. When my wife was pregnant, I got real tired of everyone asking me what gender I was hoping for. I just wanted a healthy baby. So I started to telling them I hope it's a robot. Some people laughed, but most of them just looked at me awkwardly and stopped asking questions. My 7-year-old, "I didn't hear you." I was yelling for her from another room and walked into the room where she was playing Minecraft and she blurted out, "I didn't hear you calling me." "How did you know I was calling you?" "I didn't hear you." "But how did you know that I was calling you when I walked in?" "I didn't hear you." One day I will enjoy telling her that story. I told my daughter to behave. She said, "Mommy, I am have." On a clear afternoon, "Son, look mom, I found the earth." Me, "Oh really? Where is it, son?" "In the sky." My kid saw a daytime moon for the first time. When my oldest was 5, I was pregnant. I found out I was having a boy and we excitedly told him he was having a brother. He started crying. Like, full on sobbing. Through the tears he asked, if you have a boy who will I marry when I grow up? We had to explain a lot of things that day. One time I was getting out of the shower and my 3-year-old daughter walks into the bathroom because frick a moment of privacy, points at me and says, "Daddy, your dinner is falling out." My daughter around 5 or 6 asked what animal did my chicken nugget used to be. One night at dinner, when we were talking about the importance of appreciating/understanding where food came from, I once heard my brother screaming and my mom laughing her ass off in the hallway, so obviously I went out to see what was happening. 2 of my brothers were arguing over who had the bigger weenie. One claimed his was thicker, the other one argued his was longer. They were genuinely pissed about it. Edit. They were 7 and 10 at the time, so it wasn't weird or anything. They're just competitive kids. Even about their size already. My son 3 laid down on this floor, on his back, and put his feet in his mouth. With a garbled foot, filled mouth he said, more Jesh what I am. I don't know son. What? A shocker soccer ball. My only child and genetic legacy. Son in tears. My sister called me a trapezoid. Me. Do you know what a trapezoid is, son? No. She always uses big word I don't understand. Me. Can you tidy your room please? Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. 4-year-old son, but him playing a game. And in the game, this ain't my room. I did not know where to go with that. It's not really that dumb, but funny nonetheless. Are you hungry? No. Are you thirsty? No. Do you need a nap? No. Do you need a diaper change? No. Are you hungry? Yes. According to my stepmother, when I was a wee lad she caught me eating rocks at the playground, so naturally she told me to stop eating the rocks. I apparently turned around and said they're not rocks, they're stones, and continued to eat them. Edit. I posted this before I got on a bus to Chicago. Checked at one of the stops and discovered that my internet legacy is a story about being sassy as I ate rocks. My 2-year-old daughter has started responding to me when I say, "That doesn't make sense," by yelling senses 8 running around in no fewer than 4 circles, then jumping and landing on her butt. I have no idea WTF is going on, but it drives me nuts. My little cousins who are 3 and 5 talk to each other in the minion language. I don't know how they know it so well, but they actually communicate through it and decide stuff. It drives their dad absolutely crazy. At my daughter's school she is in an optional lunch program Wednesday and Thursdays, so we don't send her a lunch those days. When my mom picked her up the first week that started, and she didn't have a lunch bag, she asked why, and my daughter's answer was, "Mom and dad don't feed me on Wednesday or Thursday." Not really dumb, cause has about 2. But my son told Mem that I had a small penis when we were in the shower. My son got a boner once when he was 3 to 4 years old. It can happen. Pointed at it proudly and exclaimed tall. I think we were helping him get dressed or something. My wife had to leave the room. Not a parent, but as children our parents asked my siblings and me what we wanted to be when we were older. The responses were fax machine, baby stroller pusher, and a doctor. FCK my sister for having her life set up at 4 years old. Edit. Grammar edit part 2. No, my sister isn't a doctor. And yes, I'm currently a fax machine. I'm in my 30s. I asked my 5-year-old nephew what age he thought I was. He said 15. 4-year-old was jumping in the shallow end of the pool. We told her not to jump in. She does it again and we say, "What did we tell you about jumping?" She replies, "I didn't jump, I hopped in." Took my daughter for her first driving lesson on a deserted dirt road. Her younger sister also with us. I stopped to let the older daughter get in the driver's seat. We get situated and buckled in. My youngest daughter says, "Put this baby in R and let's ride." Luckily the older one knew that the R is for reverse. We still laugh about that. My kid jumped through a glass coffee table in the living room while trying to jump over said table from the couch. This was as dinner was being served in the other room. So my kid walks in, blood pouring out his legs, nothing major, sits down. I asked him what the noise was. The cushion jumped through the table. proceeded to eat his dinner like nothing happened, raising a psychopath. Mommy, what's a midget? Well daughter, that's really not a very nice word to use these days, but essentially it is an adult that is the size of a child. Are they strong? They can be. Thinking I want to throw one off a bridge. Me at the age of 10. I had just cooked some pizza pockets or something, and the instructions said, let's stand for 5 minutes. Mom, opens door, what are you doing? Pizza pockets fall over me. This is so frustrating. Mom, what is me? These pizza pockets don't stand very well, Mom. What? Me? The instructions said, let's stand for 5 minutes, Mom. UHHOKTH, I'll leave you to it. Me, if you can have one wish, what would it be, daughter? That's easy, I would wish youth that owls had teeth. Me, look of confusion, daughter, I have my reasons. When my brother and I were kids, we were at my grandparents having dinner one time. My brother was babbling about some random crap as he always did, and my dad finally got fed up and told him to stop babbling, and that when there is a moment of silence he didn't need to fill the void. My brother gets this grave look and just says, when lightning strikes, nothing fills the void. We just looked at him for a moment like Tafuk. Not really dumb, but right after the birth of my twins, my nephew overheard me talking to my sister about how I had been on birth control and got pregnant with twins. My then 9-year-old nephew quips, sounds to me there was a whole lot of birth and not a lot of control in this situation. Ha 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 ha. Not a parent, but went to cinema with my little brother and mum to see Star Wars 2nd, Attack of the Clones. When Padme and Anakin kiss at the end of the wedding, my little brother exclaimed, "Mummy, why is my willy getting fat?" Caused a lot of giggling from anyone who heard. Edit, wrong movie title. I'm not a parent, but a much older brother. Kid bro asked me to buy him something once, but I have no money, I told him. In his infinite child wisdom he told me, but you can just swipe your card. I then had to inform him that, unfortunately, that involves money as well, and isn't an unquenchable source of wealth. My daughter yesterday, oh come on dad, the weather isn't even that bad, you don't know what you are talking about. I just want to go for a drive with my friends. It'll take Emily, her 4-year-old younger sister, with us if that helps. Yes, we live in the hurricane path. While my sister and my 7-year-old nephew were visiting at my parents', this happened. My dad got up to check on said nephew in the bathtub. My dad opened bathroom door and cat comes flying out. My dad, why is there water everywhere? Sister flies off the couch. My dad, buddy, how the hell did you get water on the ceiling? Sister, did you put the cat in the bathtub? Nephew, no. Sister, then why is there hair all over your chest? Nephew, shrugs, I don't know. I have never laughed so hard in my life. Apparently he does this all the time, and my sister has to check for cats before she lets him bathe. My 7-year-old niece told me that she learned what Martin Luther King said last year. Then she explained it to me. Then she proceeds to ask me if MLK was a president. I explained to her that he wasn't, and that he was an activist during the 60s against segregation, which then led into me having to explain what happened during that period. She thought about this long and hard and described segregation as rude. All I could do was agree. I said this when I was a kid, Dad, why are we in the return line? When I thought we were just buying some clothes. When I ask it, I also like pull on his jacket, it get his attention. But then he turns around and it isn't my dad. I was standing in line with this guy for like 3 minutes and he isn't even my dad. Similar experience was in the grocery store with my mom. Waiting in the deli, I was about 6 and had gone up to the display case to look at the meats and went back to my mom. I tugged on her shirt a little, doing the annoying mom. This woman looks down at me and I'm horrified and say, "You're not my mom." My mom was laughing her ass off a few feet away. My kids were in the backseat talking about how awesome life will be when they get their own place as an adult. My oldest says something along the lines of, "Yeah, I can play video games all day. Go to bed when I want to. Not listen to grown-ups bossing me around." My youngest says, "Yeah, I can put ham in the blender." Huh. Not really dumb, But one time my then 6-year-old daughter had a splinter in her finger and she was going to get it out. She announced him going up to my room to do things to myself. Upon stubbing his finger on a basketball, I fingered myself. Afterward, unable to close his hand, I can't form a knuckle my late 20s roommate. I feel like him, basically his parent though, with the stuff he says/does. Yesterday, in an attempt to get out of doing her homework for kindergarten, so it was literally just drawing pictures, my daughter told me she forgot what eggs looked like. To top it off, we had just got done making brownies. She insisted on cracking the eggs. Not a parent, but I have this vivid memory of being a kid and discovering that if I rubbed a scarf back and forth across the back of my neck, it felt kinda good. So like the sneaky devil I am, I locked myself in the bathroom and proceeded to rub it across my neck furiously for several minutes. Ended up with no skin on the back of my neck, in a lot of pain, with very confused parents. There was also another painful incident when my little brother and I were super young, sharing a bath together, and we got into mum's aromatherapy oils, thinking we were freaking masseurs or something. We rubbed pure, I believe it was lavender oil, into each other's backs. Stunk to high heaven and burnt our skin pretty badly. Dad, I'm starting a new band, really what you guys working on? Gangster rap, death metal, My brother's response when he found out his younger sibling would be a girl instead of a boy like he wanted, well, I guess it's better than a paper airplane. 16 years old or so, tried to tell us that it was illegal to call someone's house to find out if he was there. The 5-year-old nanny 4 had a meltdown because her brother called her a fish. She screamed, "If I'm a fish, I can't eat fish and I love fish." She didn't calm down for like 30 minutes. So not my kids, actually my dad. My grandparents both tell the story about how my dad couldn't say the word water, but instead said water, and one day they had this exchange. "Child, I want some water, mom. You have to start calling it water." Child's really frustrated. "I can't say water, I can only say water." She describes the look on his face when he realized he said it, as if someone had just lifted the veil on a world of color. He ran around the house screaming, "I can say water." That was like 60 years ago. I find it humorous still. When I was 5, my mom got her tubes tied. I walked in on her when she was in the bathroom and exposed and saw the bandage. Me, "Mom, why did they cut off your penis, Mom?" I learned a lot that day about the male and female anatomy. I was about 7 and my ma took me and my brother to the doctors for a checkup. My brother got checked out first, and when the doctor said hop on the scales for me, he stepped on and started fidgeting. The doctor put his hand on my brother's shoulder and said, "Not like that, as in, stand still you little shoot." However, I misinterpreted what he meant. When my time came, I literally hopped onto the scales and carried on hopping on one leg while my ma and the doc doubled over laughing. My mom told me I used to sit in the shopping cart and pee in it as soon as she looked away. When I was about 5, I went to Christian school. One day I dropped a toy car into the toilet and flushed it just to see what would happen. It flooded, and after my parents fixed it, they had some questions for me. "Why did you flood the toilet?" "Dad, it wasn't me, Dad. God brought the flood." Minus 5-year-old me shout out to Noah and his ark. Me, "Did you just poop behind the sofa?" 3 yo, yes. Me, "Why?" 3 yo, "To see what it felt like." Me, "Okay, what did it feel like?" 3 yo, "Awkward, had to leave the room laughing." This isn't really dumb, but rather humorous. I was telling my 3-year-old to pick up her toys from the living room one day. She picked up 2 toys. They abruptly stopped, looked at me and said, "How am I supposed to pick up more than 2 toys? I'm not an octopus." When my brother was young, he managed to freeze the home computer. When I explained it to him, he proceeded to touch the side of the monitor and say, "But it's not even cold." Me at the age of 6 after a bad dream and staring out my window at the full moon. "Mom, Dad from their bedroom." "What?" Me, "I'm scared." "Dad, why?" Me, "I'm looking at the moon." "Dad, then stop looking at the moon." Me, "Okay." And that's how I overcame my fear of the moon. When I was a kid, I was suspiciously eyeballing a box of condoms on the shelf while my mom was deciding which toilet paper to buy same aisle. I asked mom what they were for. She said they're a thing for a man. Unsatisfied with that answer, and based on the ring shape shown on the box, I confidently deduced that men put them on their nipples. Me, what did you do at school? 3 Yo, we talked about what we are going to do when we grow up. Me, what do you want to be? 3 Yo, a skeleton. This is my time to shine. My parents told me when I was younger that if you have a fever your forehead will be warm. So in 2nd grade I didn't want to go to school one day. With decent 6-year-old logic I began using my hand to rub furiously against my forehead. I figured friction would heat it up, my parents would feel my forehead, and let me stay home from school. I actually burst a lot of blood vessels in the direct center of my forehead. So not only was my head not warm, but I had an embarrassing red/scrape looking mark about the size of a Sacagawea coin. I think those are bigger than a quarter. It was there for 2 weeks. Parents asked me what happened. When I explained, my father couldn't believe that I had come up with that plan and thought it would work. Edit. To clarify, no it didn't work. I just got to look like a dumbass with a bunch of broken blood vessels on my forehead. My mom once came downstairs to me rubbing ice cubes with a paper towel and putting them in a new bowl. When she asked what I was doing, I informed her I was making dry ice so I could make fog. FCKU, Beekman's World. You made me look like an idiot. I don't know how to eat that. When given a baked chicken leg quarter. Yes, she literally did not know how to eat chick. She was 14. Her mother had always broken it down for her and given her just the meat. Yes, she did know how to eat the almost same thing if it were fried. We let her stare at it and figure it out on her own. My oldest daughter was born in Hawaii, and after 4 months we moved back to California. Until she was 7 or 8, she genuinely thought she was born in a grass hut on the beach. When we went back for the first time in 10 years, she was shocked to see that Honolulu is a straight up city and was completely modern. We had a great laugh at that one, and now when we go back we point out grass huts, hula dances, etc. And basically say that's where she was born, or those were her nurses, etc. When I was a kid I didn't understand that when my mom said we didn't have enough money for something. I mean, she had all those checks. If I said I was a skinny kid, it would be an understatement. So, my mom once randomly told me that I'm so skinny that I could fly away on a windy day. Since that moment, I won't let go my mom if I felt a little breeze. This happened about a year and a half ago or so. My son, who was 4 years old at the time, was sitting up in his bed. I walk in and said, "August, time for sleep, you have preschool tomorrow." Trying to be as serious and sincere as possible. He looks at me and said, "I can't." I ask him why, and he said, "I have a heart conditioner." Completely serious, mind you. I had to turn my face away, try my best not try laughing, because I need to be serious about bedtime. I literally have no idea how he came up with that. My daughter was drawing. She was about 4 at the time. We are also anatomically correct in my home, and she says, "Oh," I said, "What's wrong?" She said there's no room for the vagina in between her legs. Oh, I know. It'll put her vagina on her forehead.